Your spine straight. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in. Hold your breath. Om. Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Yo Anta Pravishya Mama Vacha Mimam Prasuptam सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् समचरणसरोज सान्द्रनीलाम्बुदाभम् जघननिहितपाणिम् मण्डनम् मण्डनानाम् तरुणतुलसीमाला कन्धरं कञ्जनेत्रं सदयधवलहासं विठ्ठलं चिन्तयामि विठ्ठलं चिन्तयामि. Pranams to the Lord. Pranams to all the Mahatmas in tonight's Eknathi Bhagawat session. We are in chapter 1 itself. We have finished first 204 Ovis. We continue from 205 tonight. And he, when provoked Pandavas and developing quarrels, arranged for total genocide of Kauravas, thus relieving earth of its burden. Yeko pita subahu pandu suta sapatmaihi दुर्द्यूतहेलन ग्रहणादिभिस्तान् कृत्वा निमित्तमितरेतरतः समेतान् हत्वा नृपान् निरहरक्षितिभारमीशः. Meaning of the verse: making as his instrument the Pandavas, whose enmity had been frequently provoked by their opponents, the Kauravas, through deceitful gambling, humiliating insults, dragging Draupadi by her hair, and other bad deeds. The Lord caused the destruction of the kings assembled on both sides in the war, and thus relieved the earth of its burden of evil persons. 206. The Lord Shri Krishna, in order to relieve the burden of the earth by bringing together all the kings who were evildoers and thus caused great trouble for the world, and killing them by fighting among themselves, created a cause for quarrel. 207. According to this plan of the Lord Shri Krishna, the deceptive dice were created, and by the very deceit, the whole group of Kauravas was easily killed. 208. In the world, normally gambling is indulged in by evil persons. Moreover, this time the game was begun by great deception. The Kauravas, who were villains, purposefully used deceptive dice against the king Dharmaraj. 209. Ordinary ignorant people also do not harass their wives, and Draupadi was the faithful wife of Dharma. They brought her in the open royal hall by whisking her. 210. Not only this, but Dushasana caught her tresses, and that's why so much distress was created. Really, this evil deed made him suffer very badly. 211. In a forest, if somebody robs another by violence, the king finds out the robber and punishes him. But if the king himself commits robbery openly in his own royal court, it is evident that he has invited his own death. 212. If the king loots anybody without cause or crime, then it is God who intervenes. To try to denude Draupadi was the chief crime, the main injustice done by Kauravas. 213. To put the house on fire, to poison Bhima, to rob Pandavas of their possessions, to covet their wife, to kill by deceit, to hold weapon in order to kill. 214. Disobedience and ridicule, verbal insults and harassment of dharma. All these were used as direct or indirect cause for achieving his aim. 215. If one whisks the dress from the body of a faithful wife of somebody, it is definitely a cause of death of the sinner. This became the cause of war, and by this only the whole family was destroyed. 216. God definitely kills the person who is against religion like this. And truly, for this only, he kindled tremendous anger in the mind of Pandavas. 217. In order to reduce the burden of the earth, he created extraordinary quarrel among the relatives, the friends, the dear ones, the in-laws, and even every respectable philosophers. 218. The Lord Sri Krishna caused the conflict and killed the loving brothers together with great kings and their armies, thus effecting great genocide. Bhubhara Rajaputana Yadubhervirasya Guptai Svabahubhirachintayada Prameyaha Manye Vanernanugatopyagatau hi bharam Yadyadavangulamaho abhisharyamaste. Meaning of the verse, having thus destroyed the kings and their armies who were a burden to the earth through the Yadavas, protected by his own arms, his own strength, the Lord of inscrutable ways thought, though the burden of the earth is already removed to some extent, I do not think it is completely finished so long as the unconquerable race of Yadavas exist. Lord's own narration. 219. He arranged to kill innumerable kings with their armies who were taking the sides of evildoers, were themselves behaving contrary to moral religion, and thus was simply a great burden to the earth. The quarrel between Pandavas and Kauravas was only a pretext. 220. He killed by hunting out so many irreligious kings and their armies that their count was not possible. Even then, the Lord Sri Krishna did not feel that the earth was totally free from burden. 221. That was because of strengthening the Yadavas. He has killed numberless evildoers, but now those Yadavas had become unbearably uncontrollable, which to his mind did not appear right. 222. So he thought that unless the whole group of Yadavas is annihilated, the burden of the earth would not be really removed, and therefore he began to think of a plan to destroy them. 223. The fire increases by burning the camphor. But when the camphor is finished, the fire is also finished. Similarly, when other evildoers were finished through Yadavas, now the time had come for their own destruction. 224. The banana tree grows until it bears the banana fruit. But when the fruits are ripe, the gardener fells that tree. Similarly, the whole growth and expanse which had taken place in the case of Yadavas was only destined for impending total destruction. 225. When the fruit is ripe and its sweet smell spreads, the gardener plucks the fruit and takes it away. Similarly, Sri Krishna thought that the fruit of his own race should be taken by himself only. 226. The Yadavas had become very strong by grace of Sri Krishna only. But now he himself decided to destroy them, and for that purpose he assumed the great fearsome form of the time as death. 227. The Yadavas became very powerful, and there was no controller whose power they could have accepted. Therefore, the Lord did not find their arrogance tolerable. नैनान्यतः परिभवोऽस्य भवेत् कथञ्चित् मत्संश्रयस्य विभवोऽन्न हनस्य नित्यम् अन्तः कलीयदुकुलस्य विधाय वेणुः अन्तःकलीयदुकुलस्य विधाय वेणुस्तम्भस्य वह्निमिव शान्तिमुपैमि धाम. Meaning of the verse, having always been protected by me and thus having grown uncontrollable through prosperity, this race of Yadavas can by no means be vanished by others. Therefore, just as a bamboo grove is consumed by fire produced by the friction of the bamboos themselves, I shall destroy the Yadavas by creating internal strife among them, and then only I shall return in peace to my own eternal residence of Vaikuntha. 228. If I go to my own eternal home, these Yadavas will break off, turning towards bad practices, because the pride of money and extreme sullenness due to prosperity are the main cause to make people attracted towards evil ways. 229. These have become great, powerful chariot riders on my support only. And in this world, there is nobody who can challenge them. So, I myself should destroy their impudence. 230. They cannot be overcome by God like Indra, monsters, demons, and even Danavas. And if they are left behind my knee, I will have to come back myself for destroying them. 231. So, the Lord Sri Krishna thought that the whole race of Yadavas should go into the jaws of death while I am witnessing it, and took the decision finally. 232. The bamboo grove had grown much by the grace of the Lord Sri Krishna, as if by its water. In it fell the spark of displeasure of Sri Krishna in the form of the curse uttered by the sages due to deceitful pranks played by some Yadavas. 233. The spark was kindled and burned large by the curse of Brahmins. It would be the cause for destruction of all through internal conflicts and the anger of the fire of death of God. 234. Thus, the Lord Sri Krishna planned to destroy the whole race of Yadavas and to go by his own will to his eternal abode after accomplishment of the last phase of his plan. Evam vyavasito rajam satya sankalpa ishvaraha शापव्याजेन विप्राणां sanjarbhe swakulam vibhu. Meaning of the verse, O King Parikshit, having thus resolved, the Lord of truthful decisions brought about the annihilation of his own race through the curse of Brahmins as a pretext or apparent cause. 235. Thus, Lord Sri Krishna thought to destroy his own race himself and thus took a decision of total genocide. 236. Now, how this task can be executed? About this, the Lord of the world thought that by the curse of Brahmin, this total destruction will be brought about easily. 237. The great hero of Yadavas thought, when this will be done, as the final undertaking of the adventures to be completed during this period of incarnation, I will go to my own abode by my own peculiar Maya. 238. The Lord Sri Krishna was God, who had taken physical body of his own will and not compelled by karma like other jivas. And he was also very beautiful. All his qualities and actions were very pure. He was the totality of Brahman, full incarnation, and the savior of the world. Swamurtyalokalavanya nirmuktyalocanandrinam girbhista smarata chittam padai sanikshatam kriyaha. Meaning of the verse, The Lord Sri Krishna had attracted the eyes of the people by his transcendent, beautiful personality, which disparaged the beauty of others. He has attracted the hearts of those by his speech when they remembered it and had suspended by his feet the actions of those who saw them. 239. The Lord Sri Krishna was the most secret of all auspicious things. He was a great source of happiness to the ladies of Gokul. He was virtually a ferry to take people to the other shore of liberation, and his beauty was celestial beyond description. 240. He was the divine wish tree fulfilling the wishes of his devotees. He was most attractive by his blue color like a cloud. His name was famous in all the three worlds. Thus, the Lord Shri Krishna, whose name was Purushottama, the Supreme Man, really looked as his name indicates. 241. Goddess Lakshmi was enamored completely by the beauty of Lord Shri Krishna. Cupid, the god of love, took birth as his son, Pradyumna. Then why to talk of Lord Indra and the moon for comparison? 242. His name purifies the three worlds. He burns the demons. He is called Purna Kama, one who has finished all his desires by fulfillments, but he is easily available to his devotees anytime. 243. Whatever beauty was in three worlds had been attracted, come to the Lord Krishna, or you may say that by only some part of his beauty, the three worlds had become really beautiful. 244. He was the decoration of all beauty, the very reservoir of all the glamour of the world, and by the charm of his body, the world appeared more beautiful. 245. He was the essential ecstasy of the ecstasy, or he was the highest happiness, making happy the very happiness of all, and in him the rest itself got rest. 246. He was the abstract, become incarnate, or the urn of all the beauty of three worlds, and he was giver of beauty to the beauty. 247. The solid ghee does not change its nature, though it is made liquid. Similarly, the totality of Brahman remains intact, though the abstract assumes a form. 248. When one looks at Lord Sri Krishna, the very looking ends in that peace. The action of looking together with one who looks becomes shy and turns into reality of itself. 249. When one looks at him, the vision gives a belch of satisfaction and itself becomes its own companion, enjoys the bliss of his being. 250. Once the tongue gets the sweet taste of the name of Lord Sri Krishna, it drops the pleasure of earthly things because the very quality of enjoying the taste disappears. It takes the taste of one who enjoys the taste and leaves him. 251. His charm is extraordinary, and the sweetness of that charm defeats the sweetness of nectar. Thus, the tongue is completely satisfied in the charm of Hari. 252. By the touch of the wind of Lord Sri Krishna's devotion, all the charm in the worldly life disappears. The nose does not like any other fragrance than the sweet breeze coming from the body of Lord Sri Krishna. 253. The smell, the fragrance, the flower, the nose, the object of the smell, and the perceiver of the smell come for rest in the fragrance of Lord Sri Krishna. 254. By the touch of body of Lord Sri Krishna, the trinity of the body, the holder of the body, and the sense of being a body disappears. It is the wonder that body itself forgets that it is a body. 255. The magic of Lord Sri Krishna was such that the hardness of the hard thing disappeared, the softness of the soft thing disappeared, and the touch lost the sense of touch. 256. By speech, which tried to describe him in its effort to relate to the reader, and that which it reads actually said was, this is not that, this is not that. And by wiping away that statement also, it turned the words into silence. 257. The talk was stopped. It was not known what happened to the person who talked. Thus, the speaker and the spoken word did not remain separate, by name of Krishna. 258. When the mind meditates on the feet of Sri Krishna, it forgets itself and remains quiet at the feet of the Lord. I think we'll pause over here for today. We have paused at 258 for today. Monday, we'll continue from here. We started a little late, so I continued for that extra 5 minutes that we have. Because when we'll start with the last description, I know we can't stop at that. But we've got some mentions, that we get this verse in Gita, right? Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. I'll come again and again to establish dharma. Correct? We hear these words. So now, am I audible? Are you? Am I audible?